Cheers. That's strong. Crikey. That is the good stuff. That is good coffee. What's up, guys? Sam here, and if you are here, you are probably coming over from Harris's video where he showed you how to film your first YouTube video. If you haven't seen that video, by the way, I'll put a link in the description or in this corner up here, I think it is. I always forget which corner it's in. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go watch that because it's kind of instrumental that you watch how to film a YouTube video before you edit a YouTube video, I guess. It's kind of a two-stage process, so go watch that, then come back, and then we can get started. But for everyone else, welcome on in. Glad to see you. Today, we're going to be talking about editing your first YouTube video and talking about that super daunting process, because it is a super daunting process, especially if you've never edited before. So, today, we're going to be talking about 5... That really hurt. Ow! 5 tips that I've learned in my time as a video editor that can potentially help you guys that are just starting out. Editing is a huge passion of mine. Even as a career, it's a huge passion of mine. I've always loved the idea of going through a project, going through the process of cutting down things and fine-tuning elements and building up your edits to the final piece that goes out and you upload to the world, playing with the B-roll, tweaking the sound design, and building the layers and all the good stuff that goes into a final video. And over time, I've picked up a few things and learnt new techniques and tricks that go into editing videos that weren't as obvious to me when I first started out. So I thought I'd throw them in this video and give you guys the insights that I didn't have when I first started making videos. So we're going to go over those today, show you guys some examples and get you guys started on making that first video special. But before then, just a quick reminder, I do stream every single Tuesday and Thursday over on Twitch. The link to my channel is down below. Feel free to drop by. I do a lot of just chatting, asking any questions you might have about cameras, sound, lighting, audio, video, all that fun stuff, and I'll do my best to answer what I can, as well as Twitch design. I know a little bit about that. So with that out of the way, let's jump in and get started with number 1. The most important part of any video, in my personal opinion, that is audio. Most people will tell you that audio and video is almost 50-50 when it comes to filmmaking, 50% audio, 50% video, when actually in reality it's more like 70% audio and 30% video. When you watch a video or a TV show or a film, you are watching clips that are back to back to back, that are changing location, changing scene, changing shot type. They are in different perspectives and different sizes and shapes that your brain and your eyes are all over the place trying to keep track of what's going on. Audio, on the other hand, is consistent. It is the bed and the foundation in which those visual elements are placed upon. It's there to mask all the cuts and there to build an atmosphere. Building good sound design and using music and a couple of other really cool audio tricks are great ways of improving the look and sound of your video and help keep the video flowing in a natural direction. Let me give you an example of how you can improve the sound in your video by using what's called a J and an L cut. J and L cuts are an editing technique where you bring the audio before or after the cut in your video. On your timeline, you'll see something like this. This is a J cut, and this is an L cut. And for reference, this is what a J cut sounds like.
That was... Oh my gosh. So when people ask me in chat, what's a USB microphone I recommend under $50? I'm going to say none of them.
And this is what an L cut sounds like.
So let's, I would say move over there, but literally I'm just going to turn the chair around. All right, let's jump into testing.
That small, minor detail and trick can really help improve the flow of your videos. Another thing you can do is introduce sound design into your video and build an atmosphere that way. So by using sound effects, music, ambient sounds, you can really elevate that video and create a really awesome atmosphere for your videos. For example, take this B-roll shot of this PC from an old video. With it just on its own, with no sound and with no atmosphere, it feels pretty flat. But if we added some sound effects and some ambience, it turns into this. It completely changes the tone and the feel you get from looking at the shot. You can even use audio as a way to transition from one shot to another. Using whooshes or swells or any kind of sound to help create movement and pace from one shot to the other is a great way to keep the flow of the video going. If you're looking for good sound effects and good music, make sure you check out Stream Beats, look at Epidemic Sound, and make sure you check out the YouTube audio library. That's one that's not mentioned an awful lot. I've linked all of them down in the description below. Great solutions for sound design. Go check them out. They're pretty cool. Speaking of transitions, let's talk about those for a little bit, shall we? I find so many creators, when they are first starting out, like to overuse transitions a lot. Don't get me wrong, transitions are very, very useful, very effective, and they have their purpose. However, transitions should only really be used when there's a change of scene, so a change in the time of day, a change in location, you know, that kind of thing. And they should be used sparingly. You can have too many transitions and they end up becoming super distracting. And most people will only use one transition. They will use the stock crossfade transition, or they'll use a swipe transition throughout the entirety of their edit. But this is where I think you can get really, really creative and do a lot of in-camera stuff to create transitions and then use them in your edit. Doing whip pans, cutting on the action, and then using your environment to really create transitions that help enhance the visual aspect of your video. For example, this shot of Harris's PC in the Authoress video has this nice light blaring in and kind of peeking in the top left-hand corner of the screen, and I wanted to emphasize that. So for this transition, what I did is use a light leak, which is a stock file. You can download them. There's some free ones. I'll see if I can link some in the description down below, but I just grab one of those, change the blending mode, and then put it over the top of the edit. As soon as the video cuts, it cuts to the light leak and it masks that edit. Letting the light leak bleed over that edit point and mask that cut really helps seal the deal. So get creative when you are thinking about transitions for your videos, and don't just jump to the stock stuff. Experiment, play around, and see what you can come up with. Next on the list, color. More specifically, color correction. This one definitely gets easier the more practice you have and the more times you do it. However, I do have some tips that can potentially help you get started. The first thing you want to do with correcting your footage is make sure that your skin tones are correct. In your editing software, you want to pull up your color correction scopes and waveforms and look for one that's called the vector scope. Load that up and you'll have something that looks similar to like a sonar thing on a submarine, but it's pretty crucial when it comes to correcting skin tones. If you look closer, you'll see a small line going diagonally from the center out to the corner of the circle. Corner of the circle? You know what I mean. This is your skin tone guide, and using it, you'll be able to get more accurate and more correct skin tones in your footage. It doesn't matter what skin tone you have, to the computer, everyone's skin looks exactly the same. I like that. It's kind of poetic. Really? The way I personally like to correct skin tones is I will use the crop tool to crop into the area of skin that I'm correcting. That makes it a lot easier. You're not worrying about other colors getting in the way. You're just focused primarily on the skin tone. Then I go into the color correction in Final Cut Pro and I tweak the color curves and the color wheels to get the line exactly where it is on the skin tone guide. And then when you remove the crop, you'll have skin tones that look accurate. And always trust the vector scope. Never trust your eyes, don't trust the monitor, because they're usually wrong. And then from here I like to correct the exposure, so adding some shadows, adding some highlights, and playing around with those two parameters. I recommend keeping the darkest parts of your image just above 0 on the waveform. You don't want to crush them too much. And then for your highlights, don't go above 100% unless you are in an atmosphere where there's been a lot of bright light and you have to go above that to make sure the rest of the image is perfectly exposed. Then you can play around with the midtones and get those correct to the way you want them to look. But again, these are just tips for getting you started with color correction. I highly recommend going out, watching some videos on color correction and color grading and figuring out how to read those scopes and vector scopes, because they are the main part of color correction, and getting those right will make color correcting a lot easier for you. Woo, that was a big one, but let's move on to number 4. Keyboard shortcuts. I absolutely love keyboard shortcuts. I can't live without keyboard shortcuts. They have made the editing experience so much faster. And when you start using them in your own day-to-day life, you do genuinely feel like a wizard. You feel like you are the best of the best, and you are whizzing around the timeline using just your fingers and the keyboard. And I have a couple of really cool keyboard shortcuts that I use all the time, one of them being the J, K, and L keys to move around the timeline. For example, pressing the L key will move your playhead forward in time and start playing your timeline back Pressing L again on the keyboard will do that at twice the speed, and then pressing it again will do it 3 times, so on and so on and so on. Same thing for the J key. However, this will play the timeline in reverse. Pressing it again will move in reverse twice the speed, and pressing it again and again and again. You get the idea. It's a great way to navigate your timeline or play a series of clips back and see how they look really, really fast. And it's also quite fun to hear what people sound like in reverse, so that's quite fun as well. Look at the keyboard shortcuts that your video editing software has, learn how to use them, and you'll find that your editing will speed up just that much more. Next, number 5, plugins and templates. I want to be honest, I don't actually make everything you see in the videos, like the graphics, the titles, the animation. Some of them I do, but not all of them. I will admit, I do use templates to speed up the editing process because of one main reason. Time is money. In the media production industry, if you can save time, you're saving money. If a template can do the job and it saves you 10 hours when it comes to animating it and exporting it and trialing new things out, get it. It saves you that 10 hours, and you can put that 10 hours to focusing on something else that's more important than fiddling around with After Effects. Like this template, for example, that I use to zoom in on areas of my projects, of my videos, to enhance the points I'm making in the video. It's a template. I downloaded it. I bought it from motionvfx.com, and I use it in my videos all the time. And a good couple of places to look for plugins and templates is motionvfx.com for Final Cut Pro and Apple Motion, and for After Effects, I highly recommend Video Copilot. I've linked them down below, as well as a few other places where they sell templates and plugins for Premiere and Resolve, so all that is linked down below. And that's the 5 tips. Actually, you know what? Let's just throw in a bonus one. Do you guys want a bonus one? Let's throw in I think people like bonus tips, so we'll throw in a bonus one. Bonus tip number 6. Don't worry about making your first video perfect. Peter McKinnon and Casey Neistat have a saying that I agree with 100% when it comes to this kind of stuff, and that is done is better than perfect. We spend hours and hours and hours working on videos, working on one video, in fact, just to make sure it's perfect, to squeeze every last bit of possibility out of it. And sometimes, well, most of the time, we go overboard. We do it too much. We spend too long on one video and we don't get it out there, and it just sits there on our computer, on our desktop, staring at us in the face. It's there. It's not going away until you finish it. You know, getting it out there, setting yourself a deadline and getting the video uploaded